I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, time for one of my Frontline market updates from the front lines, the real stuff, the tangible stuff. Because as I've blogged about many times before here, you guys know that I'm not a big believer in just sitting in front of the camera and reading off stats from the real estate board. An ape could do that kind of stuff. I like to give my viewers a little bit more, why I call it the inside edge, is because I'm a working realtor, I'm a listing specialist, but I also work with a lot of buyers every month as well. So currently I'm holding 6 listings. Let's see, I had 4 sales in the last 30 days. And I'm working with a couple of buyers. I only take on a couple of buyers at a time. I've got a bit of a waiting list on buyers that I'm slowly working through. But I am starting to work and picking up more buyers now as we move forward here. And in 2019, I now wanted to announce I now have my wife now is a fully licensed realtor. She's been my assistant for the last 7 years. So she's actually quite an experienced realtor. She been working behind the scenes for me for the last 7.5 years, but she is now a fully licensed realtor. I've also got a number of other realtors that are now working under me as well. So I'm doing this so that I can start working with more buying clients and more listing clients as well. So I'm not limited as much on how much work I can take on. So I'm expanding. But moving forward into 2019, as the market starts to shift now, where we're getting from a strong seller's market more into a balanced, and who knows, maybe one of these days we'll get into a buyer's market. Now, we're in a buyer's market when it comes to luxury condos, and we've been in a buyer's market now for a while on detached homes. So when that happens, you know, I'm more interested now in starting to work with a lot more buyers if you're looking for a detached home especially. Buyer's markets, representing buyers in buyer's markets are great. So I've currently got quite a few listings right now. As I say, I'm holding 5-6 listings. I've got 3 or 4 more listings that I'm getting ready to list over the next month. My listings are staying on the market longer. You know, in the past, over the last couple of years, most of my listings were being sold in under 15 to 25 days. Matter of fact, a lot of my listings were being sold in 8 days because we were doing holdbacks for 8 days, and then offer night was on a Monday or Tuesday, and we were getting multiple offers. So because my listings are starting to languish a bit more, they're still selling though. I want to point out that good homes that I've got, I'm still selling them, and I'm still getting offers on them in a fairly quick, timely manner for most of my listings, some more than others. But when you're working now in more of a balanced market, I am starting to get a little more excited with working with buyers. So from the front lines here, let me just tell you a few things that I'm seeing here. Now that the market is starting to balance out a little bit more, and we're getting away from the bidding wars, and the buyers now can have a little more patience. Time is on the buyer's side a lot more now than it has been the last couple of years, for sure. Because in the past, a home got listed, offer night was next week, you had to make your move on it. Now, buyers have a lot more time. And in 2019, they might even get more time. Let's see. But they can look at homes, size them up, put in an offer below asking price, and negotiate it. But a few things that I've seen just in the last month here, I am starting to see some very, very high quality condos, townhomes, and detached homes that are selling. They've been on the market for a while. They're generally starting to reduce prices once or twice and then getting offers. So you're starting to see some good quality units here selling at what I think to be pretty fair prices. And you're starting to get some what I call kind of special units. And special units are not dime a dozen units, which, you know, there is a lot of that out there. We're talking view properties, units that are in boutique buildings that maybe there might be only 10 or 15 or 20 units, and sometimes it's years, several years before something comes up for sale. And when they did, it was always fierce bidding wars for the last 5 or 6 years on. Now I'm seeing a few that have been selling without the bidding war on the market for 30 days. You can come in and put an offer in on it. And I think in 2019, we're going to see more of that. So good quality, when you can get a good quality unit without having to get into a bidding war and get it below what the comps were selling in that building just 6 months ago, I think you're starting to do pretty good. Now, I know I'll get some detractors here saying, well, you know, the market continues to go down, and why would you buy now when it's going to go down another 10%? Well, if you think that's going to happen, then wait. I I don't care either way. But again, if you go back to my golden rules of real estate, if you can get the right unit, and especially a special unit, a quality unit, these aren't dime a dozen units and they don't come up for sale very often. If you can get one at a good price in your budget, leave yourself a buffer, buy the home, live in it for 8 or 10 years minimum, enjoy it, you can't do anything but make money on these homes. And the other thing, of course, is you're buying a fantastic unit, a special unit, a quality unit. Remember, I've always talked about the importance of buying quality. Golden rule of real estate. I always, if I can, depending on the budget of my buying clients, I try them as best I can to steer them into quality. I use the analogy, I've been traveling a fair bit over the last month or so. I was in New York recently, Los Angeles. I use the analogy, and I've talked about magnet real estate, how in the last few years, a lot of these kind of lower end one-bedroom units were selling, way over asking price in crazy bidding wars because there was a lot of buyers, magnet real estate pushed into that starter level condo. Thus, it drove those prices up pretty high. And I often talked about, the difference between a $650,000 one bedroom and a $750,000 is quite a big gap. You're spending an extra 15% for that $750,000 unit, but you're now kind of clearing some clouds there. For the extra 15%, oftentimes you're getting a 30% better unit. And as you go up the scale, it gets even more exaggerated. In other words, the difference between a $1.2 million two-bed, which you can get a pretty decent unit for, but if you stepped up to 1.5, an extra 300 grand, or let's call it 20% more, you're getting about 40% more unit. You're now getting a far better unit, much younger building, much better strata. But in some cases, buyers just can't squeeze into that higher bracket. And that's why these lower price units tend to get kind of ahead of themselves. I use the analogy with hotels. If you go onto Expedia, let's say for instance, you're looking for a hotel in New York. And you'll know, people have been to New York, you'll know that hotels are expensive there. You'll go on there and a typical 2.5, 3.5 star hotel might be $350 US per night if you're going in the fall or springtime in New York, the high season. If you go up to from $350 to, let's call it $425, so an extra $75 more a night, it's a little bit of a jump, but you are now going from a 2.5 or 3 star property to a 4.5 star property. That extra $75 is getting you 50% better hotel, far superior hotel, much better amenities, better bed linens, better towel, shampoo, you name it, better location in the city. You're going from, at $350, you're going from a Howard Johnson Holiday Inn up to for an extra $75, up to a very nice boutique hotel in the meatpacking district or Tribeca. So it's the same thing with real estate, that magnet real estate that I talk about. But what I have seen so far this fall, I am seeing some very good, what I call special units. You don't get these all the time. And when they do come, they are in crazy bidding wars. So I've had several of these over the last month representing the buyer on that would have sold for substantially more because they would have been in a bidding war. And if you've caught, as I say, the golden rule, keeping them 8 to 10 years, principal resident enjoying them, these buyers have done very well. Now, moving forward, could these go down another 5 or 10% over the next 12 months? Sure. But it's what I've talked about before. You're not flipping these units. This is a principal residence. You're not looking to sell it and should care less if the price goes down another 5 or 10% next year. The thing you've got to ask yourself too is, will a unit like this, and these are special units, remember what I've talked about, will these even be around a year or next year? When they come around, I'm under the belief if you can afford them comfortably, you're going to live in it for 8 to 10 years, you pull the trigger on it, especially when you don't have to get into a bidding war. And I'm seeing more and more of that kind of moving forward. The last thing I'll kind of talk about here too, just offhand here, out of different topic. I've had a bunch of people ask me over the months, the difference between condos and detached homes, and a lot of people asking me, the detached market is hurting right now, and it is. I've got some buyers right now I'm working with, looking at some stuff in Kitsilano, west side of Vancouver. These homes in a lot of cases that are priced at, we're selling at 3.2, 3.3 are now getting 2.5. And they're priced in some cases $600,000-$700,000 below tax assessed value. The other thing I want to talk about too is, areas like Kitsilano, West Side Vancouver, Mount Pleasant, those areas are still quite desirable for people moving up from a condo. If your lifestyle is that, you are going from a luxury condo in some cases to an older bungalow. So it is a bit of a lifestyle adjustment. However, of course, detached homes, generally will give you your best appreciation over time. But again, it is a lifestyle thing. You're going from, and everyone's different, you're going from the amenities of living downtown where you can walk to everything or ride your bike and everything's at your doorstep. You don't have to do anything in a condo. Everything is taken care of for you. You don't have to mow the lawn or fix the roof or anything else. So it's really a lifestyle purchase more than anything. But I blogged about this a few times before. Some of these homes, for instance, that are way far out in areas like, one area I want to give you an example of is this Elgin-Chantrell area. And this is an area out in South Surrey, White Rock, with these massive luxury homes, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square foot homes. And, I had some people ask me, is there really much of a demand for those type of homes right now? And I can tell you there's not. The demand for those homes right now that are out there, an hour from Vancouver, the bottom has dropped out. I continue to kind of keep an eye on that area. And in this one particular area, this Elgin-Chantrell area, there's something like 160 homes for sale. Every second or third house is for sale. Nothing is selling, and the prices are on a steady decline. And, part of the reason is if you follow a lot of people like Brent Totterin, the former city planner of Vancouver, he's a big believer in, of course, living in urban areas. And a lot of millennials now want to live in the city. They want the amenities where they can walk to things. And a lot of people are starting to question, whether these huge homes with 6 bathrooms and 8 or 9 bedrooms and 4-car garage, are these really desirable to people anymore? They're probably not to millennials anymore. And maybe it'll change. Maybe the demand will pick up for these homes. But it'll be interesting going forward to see where a market like that goes. If the demand will pick up again and prices might pick up. But for right now, buyers are nowhere to be seen in this market. Prices are continuing to go down. And there's that talk about whether those homes are even desirable anymore. And, if you follow, cities in the United States, you'll know it's the same thing. A lot of these cities in the US where they built these huge McMansions out in the suburbs, they're having trouble selling a lot of these homes. Prices are down. Buyers aren't around anymore. There's been a flight to the city, into the urban areas. And I think we've seen a lot of that going on in Vancouver because, of course, we've seen the price of detached homes going down over the last 2 years. But the price of condos has continued to go up. There used to be a huge gap between detached and attached. That gap, there's still a gap there, but it has narrowed a great deal. Personally, I think homes in and around the city, so from Mount Pleasant to Kitsilano, West Side Vancouver, those homes I think are still going to be very desirable because you're still very close to the city, along Cambie Corridor, along Main Street. But it'll be interesting to see some of these big, and I'm talking here mansion type homes, not starter homes. That's a different game. Mansions, priced at $3 and $4 million, out in South Surrey. It's going to be interesting to see where that market goes and if it does recover. Because in some ways, those homes have become kind of dinosaurs in a way. They might pick up again, but having a home with 8 bedrooms and every bedroom has an ensuite, got to question how many people are having 8 or 9 kids these days, or 6 kids, to support a house like that. It'll be interesting to see moving forward with it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.